Taotao Tåsi, people of the land, Taotao Tåsi, people of the ocean. But I think before we became the people of the land, we were people of the ocean. You know? You know, canoe in the Carolinian language we call it wa, and I think in most specific va, wa. But in our language, wa means the vein that carries the blood to the heart. And so we understood that it's that wa that connects Jay and Larry, wherever they may be on this part of the world. That's our connection. Our ancestors split open that ocean to make that connection. So our wa, our canoe, in many ways, had the route, if you will, that had been when we do the chant. And I was using the paddle to kusigi means to open up this ocean. And there's no other ocean as deep as the Marianas Trench.
Adai Torohamzu. Welcome to the Red Rice and Fina'denne podcast. I'm your host, Jay Byrd. This series is called Taotao Tåsi, and it's full of short stories with Palu Larry, a traditional master navigator of the sea. And right now, we just pushed our canoes offshore. Our family and our friends and all of our villagers are behind us, getting smaller and smaller and further away. Palu Larry has the microphone now.
Okay, guys, here we are.
He's our navigator.
Just left our home. Take a good look at it. This is our land astern. We need to keep it in position under its star because the success of our voyage will depend on us knowing exactly where it is. So we must know where we come from in order for us to know where we're heading.
We're in the deep West Pacific Ocean, from the island of Lumatrek to the island of Guam. We focus on the paddling to get us through the lagoon, because we're making our way to the edge of the reef, and then eventually over it.
As voyagers, we know that this ocean is huge, it's serene, beautiful, but could also be very dangerous. Absolutely has no regards for how we feel, despite our experiences. So let's just go out there and do our best.
And now that we found our rhythm in the paddle, Palu Larry takes a moment to help us understand the importance of Sumatao.
Sumatao is to open the ocean. And this is a chant that we navigators do when we voyage and we open the ocean, recognizing the ocean is so big and so powerful, but it's also very peaceful. We ask for some part of that ocean to be part of us. I think that for all of you, you've been living out here far away from home. I hope that the current of the strongest current on the planet, which comes from the Marianas Trench, will swivel around, or and bring you back home. I think that this chant will be a way of opening the several sea lanes. In Sumatao, we recognize that there are 7 different oceans. And by that, I don't mean the Pacific and the Indian Ocean. I mean in the indigenous way of those oceans. It's the ocean of thirst. It's the ocean of hunger. It's the ocean of temptations. It's all these layers when we voyage on our canoes. Because the was the solid part of that Chamorro Micronesian will that you all have. I heard Rita say, you may be able to take the kid out of the island, but you will never ever take the island out of that kid. You know? And so I say, it's in your DNA. Where else are you going to go but to the islands?
And something that I found really interesting was the wa'a, the sakman, the canoe itself. It's made from the trunk of a breadfruit tree. Breadfruit in Chamorro is lemai, in Carolinian it's mai. And the entire community participates in the construction of a canoe, which begins with the selection and felling of a lemai tree and involves a detailed, super sophisticated measurement system based on indigenous mathematics traditions, and the design itself is able to support the sailing of the canoe in shallow waters and deep waters. And I'm so interested in canoe making, but we'll have to dive into that some other time. What I'm really interested right now is lemai as a fruit and lemai as the canoe, because it's a hollowed out lemai trunk.
Not just the fruit. The fruit is significant, but the tree itself, that was our canoe. It reminds you that you're really the sea lane of the breadfruit, you know, which then brings you back home. You know, you go out into this ocean from San Diego to Guam, and you're going voyaging. But at the very end of it, the chant reminds you, but you're home. It's a short sea lane. Don't worry too much about it. You're home. There's a breadfruit tree. And that was the sea lane. I mean, that was the chant that I did, was a sumitao, which we often do as navigators when we go on our voyage. The bigger part of it is also recognizing that the ocean that is full of hazards, full of dangerous stuff, but it's also the only highway we have. While it may seem to many as the ocean that separates us, to us as navigators, it's the ocean that connects us. That's how we're going to get to each other. So what I was doing with the paddle was in sync with the words, because the words of the chant begins with you being in the ocean that is shallow. That's the ocean of shallow. But then you out in the channel, I move the paddle up, because that's when you pierce the ocean open. You remember that biblical story of Moses opening that ocean? Our ancestors split open that ocean to make that connection. So our canoe, in many ways, had the route, if you will, that had been when we do the chant. And I was using the paddle to pusigi means to open up this ocean, piercing through this ocean. And there's no other ocean as deep as the Marianas Trench. You know? So that's what the chant was. And that was I guess as I was chanting, I visioned, you know, the movement of that canoe from at the bottom of the Marianas Trench, piercing up to the top, and starts to make its journey to San Diego. That was what my mind was like. Maybe not everybody in the crowd, but to me it was connecting to you, to your dad, to everybody, and said, you have a place. That's your home.
Now that our canoe is approaching the end of the lagoon, we can see the waves. The water is darker now. I'm getting a little scared. Paluleri offers a few words of advice for what we're going to experience next.
Okay, guys, here we are. Keep our navigational star toward our destination at the bow of our canoe. Keep all eyes open for whatever this ocean has to present for us. As voyagers, we know that this ocean is huge, it's serene, beautiful, but could also be very dangerous. Absolutely has no regards for how we feel despite our experiences. So let's just go out there and do our best, accept the challenges it has to offer us, and work together always as a team. Out here on this canoe, we are one family. Communication is important for us to keep those lines open and communicate always. Otherwise, let's go out there and enjoy this voyage as best as we can. And to our ancestors who taught us this knowledge, we owe everything to you.
Thank you for listening to Red Rice and Fina'denne, Taotao Tåsi. This was in the lagoon, but now we're going to go beyond the reef, and we'll see you next time.